All right. Well, Trump and Putin held a nearly 3-hour phone call today, which resulted in a limited ceasefire with the prospect for a permanent ceasefire. Here's the statement put out by Trump about the call. He says, "My phone conversation today with President Putin of Russia was very good and a productive one. We agreed to an immediate ceasefire on all energy and infrastructure with an understanding that we will be working quickly to have a complete ceasefire and ultimately an end to this very horrible war between Russia and Ukraine. This war would have never started if I were president. Many elements of a contract for peace were discussed, including the fact that thousands of soldiers are being killed, and both President Putin and President Zelensky would like to see it end. That process is now in full force and effect. We will hopefully, for the sake of humanity, get the job done." Okay, so this is the second phone call that Donald Trump and Putin have had. They had a call about a month ago, early February, for about an hour and a half. And then this call was 3 hours long. So just the long and short of the conversation, the Cliff Notes version is that Putin did agree to pause strikes on Ukraine energy targets for 30 days. Also, there's fresh Ukraine talks to start immediately in the Middle East, pending the Middle East still exists after it gets bombed to oblivion. Also, Trump and Putin are backing an energy and infrastructure ceasefire. Let me give you the details of the Kremlin's full statement on the call. So the Kremlin put out a more detailed outline. So I just kind of gave you the Cliff's Notes version, but let's get the longer one here. So this is what the Kremlin said about the call. So the leaders continued a detailed and frank exchange of views on the situation around Ukraine. Vladimir Putin expressed gratitude to Donald Trump for his desire to help achieve the noble goal of ending hostilities and human losses. Having confirmed his fundamental commitment to a peaceful resolution of the conflict, the Russian president declared his readiness to work together with his American partners to thoroughly explore possible ways of resolving the conflict, which should be comprehensive, sustainable, and long-term. And that, to me, is kind of the crux of the issue. I'm not sure how. I'm still very leery. I mean, these are all positive steps towards a ceasefire, but I'm really leery about it because the sustainable long-term demand that Russia needs is for a halt to NATO expansion. And Trump is only president for 4 years. And then the next guy could come in, and who knows who that's going to be, and they could just start back up again. So I don't know exactly what Russia could ask for or what kind of guarantee the United States would give Russia to ensure that that doesn't happen in 4 years or 8 years or whenever. Goes on to say, and of course, to take into account the absolute need to eliminate the root causes of the crisis and Russia's legitimate interests in the area of security. In the context of the U.S. president's initiative to introduce a 30-day ceasefire, the Russian side outlined a number of significant points concerning ensuring effective control over a possible ceasefire along the entire line of contact, the need to stop forced mobilization in Ukraine and rearm the Ukrainian armed forces, serious risks associated with the inability to negotiate of the Kiev regime, which has repeatedly sabotaged and violated the agreements reached, were also noted. Attention was drawn to the barbaric terrorist crimes committed by Ukrainian militants against the civilian population of the Kursk region. So that's kind of an interesting part of this, is that Kiev is not involved in this negotiation. So there was a 30-day ceasefire that Russia has agreed to not attack energy and infrastructure for 30 days. But where's Kiev in this negotiation? I mean, is the United States able to say, all right, Ukraine won't hit any of these targets? How could we possibly control them unless the United States is actually in control of the war? And I don't know if that's the case. I'm not sure. It could go either way. I mean, maybe we are actually in control, handling the targets and pushing the button. Just the Ukrainians, we have them push the button, but we're actually telling them where to fire and when. That's a possibility. I suppose it's also a possibility we're not. And Ukraine's doing all of it with our weapons and with some intel from the United States. But how can we have a ceasefire agreement with Russia if Kiev is not involved? And then Kiev says, oh, great, you're not going to attack our energy infrastructure, but we're going after yours in these 30 days because we didn't agree to the ceasefire. Also, how does the United States stop the forced mobilization of Ukrainians into the military of Ukraine? We don't have any control over that, do we? Unless we do. But there's things in here that Russia's asking for. And the fact that Ukraine is not at the table and isn't, I mean, what Trump is probably thinking is, well, we'll just cut them off from all the weapons and all the aid. Well, now you've got Europe rallying around Ukraine. So how's that going to really fully stop them? So it goes on to say, it was emphasized that the key condition for preventing the escalation of the conflict and working towards its resolution through political and diplomatic means should be the complete cessation of foreign military aid and the provision of intelligence information to Kiev. Okay, the United States could say, we're not going to send them any aid, but what about the rest of Europe? These guys are hunkering down. I mean, you got Germany, started World War I and World War II, and they're hell-bent, it seems like, on starting World War III. They want to continue supplying Ukraine with weapons. In connection with Donald Trump's recent appeal to spare the lives of Ukrainian servicemen surrounded in the Kursk region, Vladimir Putin confirmed that the Russian side is ready to be guided by humanitarian considerations and, in the event of their surrender, guarantees the lives and decent treatment of the Ukrainian armed forces soldiers in accordance with Russian laws and international law. So, okay, great. If they surrender, they won't be treated poorly. They won't be killed. That's what he's saying. During the conversation, Donald Trump put forward a proposal for the parties to the conflict to mutually refrain from attacks on energy infrastructure facilitated for 30 days. So they're doing the 30-day no infrastructure or energy attacks. Vladimir Putin responded positively to this initiative and immediately gave the Russian military the corresponding order. So that order is in effect right now. The Russian president also responded constructively to Donald Trump's idea of implementing a well-known initiative concerning the safety of navigation in the Black Sea. It was agreed to begin negotiations to further elaborate specific details of such an agreement. Vladimir Putin informed that on March 19th, a prisoner exchange will be carried out between the Russian and Ukrainian sides, 175 for 175. In addition, as a gesture of goodwill, 23 seriously wounded Ukrainian servicemen who are being treated in Russian medical institutions will be transferred. The leaders confirmed their intention to continue efforts to achieve a Ukrainian settlement in a bilateral mode, including taking into account the above-mentioned proposals of the U.S. president. For this purpose, Russian and American expert groups are being created. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump also touched upon other issues on the international agenda, including the situation in the Middle East and the Red Sea region. Joint efforts will be made to stabilize the situation in crisis areas, establish cooperation on nuclear non-proliferation and global security. This, in turn, will contribute to improving the overall atmosphere of Russian-American relations. One positive example is the joint vote in the UN on the resolution on the Ukrainian conflict. Mutual interest was expressed in normalizing bilateral relations in light of the special responsibility of Russia and the United States for ensuring security and stability in the world. In this context, a wide range of areas in which our countries could establish interaction was considered. A number of ideas were discussed that are moving towards the development of mutually beneficial cooperation in the economy and energy sector. So looks like we're going to be, dropping some sanctions, moving forward with partnering with Russia and even partnering with energy. Donald Trump supported Vladimir Putin's idea to organize hockey matches in the USA and Russia between Russian and American players playing in the NHL and KHL. It wouldn't be Donald Trump having a phone conversation if something like that wasn't brought up in the end. And hey, we should have our teams play hockey against each other. Why don't we have some hockey matches? Doesn't that sound good? Good, Vladimir? What do you think? The presidents agreed to remain in contact on all issues raised. So that was the statement from the Kremlin on the phone call. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot, especially in the mainstream news, about what the White House has to say about the conflict. And excuse my Alexa there. Sorry about that. All right. So that's what's going on with Russia and the phone call. Progress is made. 30-day ceasefire. We'll see what kind of ceasefire we can get going forward. And, again, those security guarantees that Russia needs, that's going to be the big kicker. I mean, that's going to be the thing. How is Donald Trump going to ensure that NATO will not expand, not now, but also not in the future? That's going to be tough. Are you a yo-yo dieter? You diet, you lose weight, but you gain it all back plus a few extra pounds. Then later you lose it and regain it again and again. Well, studies show yo-yo dieting can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern is a main reason doctors created Lean. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. The science behind Lean is impressive. Its studied natural ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, it helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. So listen, if you're tired of losing weight and gaining it back, if you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, Lean was created for you. And let me get you started with 20% off when you enter Kim20 at takelean.com. That's code Kim20 at takelean.com. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which has a new showtime. Catch the full Kim Iverson Show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Head to KimIversonShow.com. See you there.